Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Samya Andrabi. I'm the editor of the Clean Middle East magazine and your host today. In our previous webinars, we identified some core challenges which the cleaning and hygiene industry of Nigeria faces. One of the most common challenges which our panel members identified was unskilled manpower and lack of training for the cleaning workforce. So we decided to take this issue head on and conduct an exclusive session that discusses the topic of training the unskilled cleaning workforce of Nigeria. Through this webinar, we aim to highlight the need for training the cleaning staff of Nigeria, best practices in training, and more. Apart from this webinar, Media Fusion and Issa Pulayar are also organizing a trade show for the professional cleaning and hygiene industry in West Africa. The show will be held in Landmark Center, Lagos between 16th to 18th February 2022. Do participate in this exclusive trade show to meet new suppliers and make new partnerships. Moving on, let me introduce you to our panel of experts today. Joining us is Mr. Tommy Taylor. Tommy is the director of T. Taylor Solutions. He's an accredited ISA CIMS and ISA CIE facilitator. Tommy has had extensive experience training cleaning and FM companies in the Middle East and continues to raise standards in cleaning through his own company in the UK, T. Taylor Solutions. We are also joined by Ms. Nwando Chukwura, Managing Director of Total Facilities Management. She is a fellow of the prestigious Institute of Directors, Nigeria, and a member of the Governing Council, a certified member of the Institute of Workplace and Facility Management, UK, and a member of Association of Facilities Management Practitioners of Nigeria. Also on our panel is Clive de Monse, the Director of Clean FM Consultants and ISA Ambassador for the region of Africa. Clive has developed a wealth of experience in the cleaning industry and has a proven track record, having worked in many countries as a consultant. As president of the South African Cleaning Association for 10 years, he also facilitated many international alliances. He is CIMS certification expert and auditor and a certified trainer for ISA. Our next speaker is George Inara. Inara is the MD of Infusion Connoisseur Limited and currently the program secretary of the Cleaning Practitioners Association of Nigeria. She works for the training team of CPAN. Our final speaker for this panel discussion is Steve Idor-Neeg, General Manager of Jabi Lake Mall, because an end user's perspective always matters to us. Thank you so much for joining us today, all the panel members.
Thank you for your invite.
Thank you.
The pleasure is mine. Now, without further ado, we'll turn the time over to our panel. If you have any questions, please type them into the question box on your panel and I'll bring them up during the webinar. We'll also have a quick Q&A session with our experts in the end. So let's begin. My first question is open for all the speakers. Anybody can take this question. What are the reasons for the lack of skilled cleaning workers in Nigeria? Anybody can take this question. Clive, would you like to begin?
Yeah, go Clive.
I think it would be best if the people from Nigeria answer that question and we can then comment on that, on their responses or thereafter. Thank you.
Nwando, would you like to take this first?
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm glad I'm here. It's a topic that is dear to me. So training for the skilled cleaning workforce in Nigeria is key and is passionate to us here as practitioners. First of all, I would like to say that the lack of awareness is majorly what I see to be the problem. The awareness of where or how to acquire these skills, I think is a major problem. So you have people that are interested, people that are already doing this work, cleaners that are interested in developing themselves, but they don't know where to go to get these skills. They want to develop themselves, but where do they go to? And then those that even want to get these skills, they don't understand the benefit. They don't understand why they have to, get training. Or get upskilled or reskill themselves. Another major problem, I think, is not seeing cleaning practice as a profession. In Nigeria, it's not seen as a career path. It's not seen as a profession that one can grow into or see as take as a career. So you find out that people and most times see it as is derogatory to be seen as a cleaner. So why should I even want to get skilled in it or grow in it as take it as a profession? So I think these are the major setbacks, or why I think people are not getting skilled, even though they are cleaners. So they just wake up every morning and it's like the turnover is high. People going just to make a living, not necessarily seeing it as a career. So you find out that they are not skilled. They don't even know where to go to get skilled. That's some of the points I've noted.
Good.
Definitely. Inara, would you like to add to this?
I was hoping I would be the last, given that I'm a cleaner. So I was hoping the gentleman from Jabi Lake would answer, and then I will just give a final response to that.
Let me come in, Samira.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter where you go within the world. Cleaning is not seen as a profession. It's seen as something that anybody can do. And the problem is it's actually exaggerated by the clients, because the clients don't always understand what is necessary and are really just interested in the bottom line. The welfare in terms of training for staff is not really high on the agenda. And when you talk to people and say to them, if I talk to somebody, which I had, say, the weekend, and people said to me, oh, what do you do? And I say, well, I'm a professional cleaner. And they say, well, what do you mean by that? So I explain to them. They say, well, you have to train people. I'm thinking, well, why not? And that's the attitude. And that's from people that are not even paying the bill. So there's this whole attitude in terms of not recognizing the cleaning operative. Generally, cleaning operatives are low skilled. In their views, in their eyes, they're low skilled, they're poorly educated, therefore are unable to sort of make a decision as to whether training is good for them or bad for them or indifferent. So there's lots of reasons to go with it, but the main reason for me has always been about client perception. If the client drives it, then it can only be good for the industry. It doesn't matter how many people talk about training and how good it is. If the client doesn't want it, if the client's not willing to pay for it, it's not going to happen. And generally, that's the way it works. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in Nigeria, Europe, UAE, it's exactly the same everywhere you go. And that's the one commonality that we can pick out within our industry.
Certainly. Clive, would you like to add to this point by Tommy?
Yes. I was hoping maybe Steve responds, the last person from Nigeria that's present there.
Okay. All right. Apologies, everyone.
Yeah, no, good. Welcome. But it will make it much
Thank you so
easier
much.
once we have had, their perspective to comment,
Okay.
So,
all right. Thank you, everyone, for having me and Jabi Lake Mall. It's a pleasure to be here. And yes, some interesting commentaries from everyone, today. Let me just quickly start with a simple phrase like, cleanliness is something that never goes out of style. Okay, the built-up environment, unfortunately, when analyzing or when reviewing, what needs to be in place to make the built-up environment what it is, cleaning seems to be, placed at, a low end, and it's honestly quite surprising. Who wants to walk into a dirty mall? Who wants to walk, in an unclean environment? So the perception needs to change. The cleaning service needs to be recognized beyond what it is currently, and until we do this, we'll still remain where we are. Cleaning is seen like a face. Oh, I don't have a job. I'm talking about Nigeria now. I don't have a job. I don't have the requisite skills to move on into other careers. Let me just do this for a while, and move on. And you find out that the turnover, in this field is very, 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 very high. It's a big problem. So you find that companies are reluctant, to invest heavily, in training staff. You train a guy, he's with you for 3 months, you invest, in training, and the next month, once he picks up his salary, is off. So you find yourself, reinvesting again, in that. So it's a major problem. It's a major problem. So it needs to be given, some level of recognition, and then we can take it from there. So the investors needs to appreciate the cleaning companies more. For instance, I think the average, Ms. Chukura, I don't know if I'm correct, I think the average pay is about 25-30K, for cleaners in Nigeria,
Yes, for some organizations, yeah.
Yeah, it's meagerly poor, so until we pay attention to this service, let people tend to identify with it as a profession, let people be proud to say, okay, I was in a conversation with a former president of CPAN, and part of what we talked about was around, changing the nomenclature. Other than just calling them cleaners, that they call them custodians. I think that is also a way to go. And when we begin to rebrand the profession, sort of, investors will begin to take note, and begin to pay attention as well. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I completely agree with you, Steve. There are many people who do not recognize cleaning as a profession, but luckily we are seeing a paradigm shift in this perception. Since the start of the pandemic, cleaners are more recognized than ever before,
Yeah.
and their work is valued, I believe. So, Inara,
Yeah.
you wanted to speak after Steve. So here's your chance.
Great. Thank you. So here's a quick one. Unfortunately, I'm the last, and they all stole my words at different times. Truthfully, I like to treat this subject locally because this is Nigeria, and I would say that we're all lackadaisical. We, the end users, and even the people we call cleaners, and this is because Africa and Nigeria, we're faced with so many other problems that cleaning is not what we term ideal. And like they rightly said, even people who go into the business, go into it for the lack of a job. Speak less of the people who come in to take up these jobs. It's a stepping stone until the next phase. They just don't want to stay hungry. So that's what it is. So this would, we also fail to demand attention. Well, there's no attention to detail. So nobody is skilling up. I mean, you find that companies start and they're training, and then because of the high turnover, the wahala, you don't want to train anymore. You're just, we'll just come in and do the job. Wherever you stop, we'll use English to go on from there. So these are the things. That's why I said I wanted to speak last, because we've been in this for this long, and these are the things that we're faced with. Yes, so it's the lackadaisical attitude from us, the companies, the end users, and the people, because we're all faced with bigger problems that we don't actually look inwards to pay attention to the primary detail.
Certainly. So, Clive, would you like to add to this?
Yes, just stop me when you think I'm going overboard. Thank you, firstly, for also inviting me to be part of this program today. And like Tommy said, today, it's all about economics. and the clients tend to drive the process. You know, they demand the highest standards at the lowest prices. You know, and along the way, the contract cleaning companies gets beaten up and abused and so on. You know, that has been the norm for many years. And yes, I do agree that the perception out there is cleaning is at the bottom rung of the ladder.
Absolutely.
However, I firmly believe, and I can prove, you know, maybe not today, but some other time, that we can change that perception. And if we're buying in to the slogan and the motto of ISSA to change the view of cleaning, you know, and I think we should draw the line where we are, you know. If you're in a country where, you know, the attitude and the perception is still poor, where what we would call cleaning practice, you know, in the past, cleaning practice is when you have a broom, a mop, a bucket, and a rag. Then you think you're a cleaning company. But cleaning has evolved to become cleaning science now. And Tommy gave us the reason, and Samia also mentioned it. It has evolved and fast-tracked by the COVID-19 pandemic. We've now suddenly realized we can't just do and execute a cleaning practice. We've got to do enhanced cleaning now. We've got to apply scientific methods now. And that's where we are now. But as a country, where we feel we are lacking, we've got to draw the line and then engage with government. Sit down, the sector, the cleaning sector should sit down with government and discuss ways to find a workable solution, you know, to introduce training programs. We in South Africa, we have done that very successfully, you know, and myself as a company, I've just completed. And the reason is why we went for this is the same. We want the student sitting at higher education. We want him to say to himself, I want to go into the cleaning industry. So how do you attract them? How do you attract that student? Because nobody now says, oh, I'm going to school myself to go into the cleaning industry. So you've got to have a program. You've got to have a national diploma. You've got to have something to show, you know. So we have developed a semester now with an initial diploma as a company, which we will release very early next year. We've just finished helping and assisting the University of New Delhi also with their programs. In fact, their program will encompass facilities management, and it will end up as a 6-year course degree, you know. So that's interesting. But it's India taking the initiative to draw the line and say, hey, no more. We're going to change the perception. It is South Africa saying, drawing the line and saying, hey, we're going to change the perception. And I think collectively, we all got to do that. Yeah. So we understand there are challenges, cultural, financial, social challenges. But that's why we're here, to speak to each other, to assist each other. It might come at a cost, because it's not necessary to reinvent the wheel if the wheel is already invented somewhere. It might come at a cost. But I think collectively, we got to support that slogan of to change the view of cleaning. Yeah. So I think I'm going to stop there. You know, I can carry on. I can speak for days on cleaning. You know, but we have developed these programs, these training programs. We have developed, and the different investors. And I think that's where we all got to start, draw the line, sit down with government and speak. Not just government, but all stakeholders, you know. So my advice to Nigeria is identify your stakeholders and sit down with them and say, work out a path, you know, a path, and then there's other things like a career path. We've just drew up a diagram that actually shows you, you're cleaning in the middle, and you could go from cleaning, you can go project management. So there is a career, but we must convince the student, the learner, the unemployed that is. Thank you.
Okay, we have one more question from the audience. Clive, perhaps you can address it.
Yeah.
So Rebecca from our audience wants to have an African, an entire continental perspective on this. The reasons for the lack of skilled cleaning workers.
There's a lack globally of cleaning workers. If I use one of our clients, Singapore, they can't find a cleaner in their own country. They can't. There are other countries as well in Europe, and they can't find. So the challenge is global, you know, because it's not attractive enough. But if they find an experience that it is legislated, there are legislation that covers and protects them, they will come. If there is a certification that's accessible, they will come. You understand? And they will take pride in doing cleaning work and not hide. So the challenge is global, you know. Malaysia the same, you know. So we're dealing with both an African problem as well as a global problem. Thank you. Can I answer that? Rebecca? Tommy, you want to answer?
Yeah, no, I'm here. No, I'm here. I hear you. I think that what you're saying is correct. And Rebecca, I think that one of the things that we need to look at, and it's true what Clive says, I mean, we've got a shortage of workers here now in the UK. And it doesn't really matter how much money you throw at it. It's really trying to get the bodies. You just can't get the bodies. There's nobody around at the moment. And we have to understand is that each country, each company has to deal with things in a different way. Clive mentioned a couple of countries like Singapore and Malaysia and people like that. Sometimes when you've got a country that's relying on foreign workers, it becomes a problem. And I don't think that we've noticed here in the UK until recently that it is now a problem because a lot of foreign workers have gone home. So going back to what I said earlier on in terms of the perception, we all know that the perception of cleaning is pretty poor. I mean, it's well down on the scale. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says they want to be a cleaner. That doesn't work, okay? And we find ourselves in this position through various circumstances, whether it be lack of education or no education at all in certain cases, whether it be a need just to put bread on the table. You know, cleaning has always been seen as something to fall back on just to make a few pennies to make ends meet because it's easy. But we know that cleaning is not easy. If it's conducted properly, it's not an easy task. You know, and you know, we need to understand as an industry our own value. I think that COVID opened it up for us the last couple of years in terms of people outside of our industry now looking at us in a completely different light in terms of the way they react with us and what their expectations are. However, as I said, there's still this stigma about training staff. Why do they need training? They're just a cleaner. You know, do you need training to mop a floor? You know, and everybody talks about it in such a derogatory term. And you know, and for all of us here sitting around the table, we know that, you know, the cleaner doesn't need training to mop a floor until one of the clients slips on the floor and does themselves an injury. Then all hell breaks loose. So, but what we try to do is try to avoid that situation, which is hard. So there's lots of factors. I'm a bit like Clive. I mean, I've been doing this job for quite a few years now, and the mantras never change. But what needs to change, in my view, is not necessarily, first of all, the perception of cleaning. But what should be changed is the way that companies interact with each other within countries. That's the problem. The part of the problem is that everybody is in self-interested, and you're not going to train a cleaning operative or 10 cleaning operatives if you're going to get a contract, and if somebody down the road, they train 10 operatives and they're not going to get the contract. It's just not going to work. So it's not a balanced playing field in terms of that particular scenario. So until, as an industry within each territory, if you look at it and say, right, as a territory, say all the cleaning companies get together and say this is the minimum standard we require, you wouldn't have a problem. But if we still face the problem of one person will get a contract because even if they're not training their staff, and somebody puts all the effort to train their staff and not getting contracts, well, there's no parity, there's no fairness about the whole situation. So no matter where they are, and I'm responding to Rebecca, no matter where you are, Rebecca, whether you're in the African continent, whether in Nigeria or UAE or Europe, the parameters are still the same in terms of the perception of the cleaning operative, what they do, what they don't do, even their own self-esteem. That the cleaning operatives suffer with their own self-esteem. Am I worth it? My boss is shouting at me because I've not done X or what. They suffer with that scenario, and it's not surprising that people will pick up sticks and leave somewhere and go somewhere else tomorrow. And more so in this day and age now, because we've got a problem, it's an employee's market. So the employee now, where on before they would move for, just for want of a better phrase, they'll move for $1. Now they won't, they'll move for like $2 or $3 because that's what people are offering, because there's such a shortage of staff, whether they're trained or not trained. And nobody, by and large, when they take on a clean operative, says, well, have you been trained? What do you know? They're not interested. If you can walk, you can breathe, you've got a job.
That is an interesting perspective, a very interesting perspective indeed, Tommy. So coming to our next question now.
Lamia, sorry. I just want to answer Rebecca's last question. Is ISA ready to support and equip organizations that want to run a cleaning training institute in Africa? The answer to that is yes, but it will come at a cost. The answer is yes, ISA will support, ISA will help and assist, but like I said, it will be a cost to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Clive. The next question is that what are the skills that employers look for in their cleaning staff in Nigeria? Nwando, if you could take this question first.
Thank you, Samia. Over the years, we've worked for employers, the private sector, the public sector. So I guess their demands are different, but the basic thing I know they require from a cleaner is basically one, communication skill. You should be able to communicate. They expect you to be knowledgeable. You should know what you're doing. Fitness, yes, if you're fit, it helps, because they don't want to see you coming in to do your work and they are carrying you half of the way. Personal hygiene is key. Mainly communication, being able to know what you're expected to do, interpersonal skills, relating well, customer service, good presentation. Once you have that, you're good to go with your employers. We find out that for private organizations, like Tommy said, when they're informed, a lot depends on the demand organization. So when they know what they want and they're ready to pay for it, it's always good. You can always get the good or the right cleaner, to work in such places. So a lot depends on the employer, the skills they want. Once they're ready to pay for it, you find that there are key identified traits that they want to see. The SOP, does the person know what he or she is there to do? So knowledge of what you're there to do, your personal hygiene, your communication skills, being interpersonal skills, like I said, being able to pay attention to details. I think somebody mentioned that. So you don't come clean a place and when you leave, they have to call you back. So everybody wants to get value for their money. So when they engage you, the employers want to see that the cleaner knows what he or she is there to do, and they get value for their money. So those skills, once you have it, you're good to go.
Thank you so much, Nwando. Steve, can you add to that, since you are also an end user? I'd like to ask, what skills do you look for in your cleaning staff?
Okay, firstly, I would like to re-emphasize what the earlier speaker said, is Nwando. I'd like to re-emphasize communication. And I would back this up with a scenario that I had in my previous place of employment. Okay, someone slipped, and fell, in the mall, and the cleaner's attention was called to the location. She ran down there, and lo and behold, there was no water on the floor. Okay, so she managed the person. The person walked away. The person took pictures, and as a result of that, we are facing litigation, serious litigation, at the moment, and we are being accused of not caring for, our visitors.
Customers.
And if indeed that cleaner, knows what to do, how to channel information, how to manage the situation, of course, we will not be in that litigation. So communication is key. And, you must be able to express yourself, in minimal level of understanding, knowing what to do. Because, of course, before they come in, they are given orientation, understanding of how the entire system works, who does what, the reporting lines are clear. It's like management by objectives. We take it down to that level. But unfortunately, that cleaner failed to communicate, and we are facing litigation as a result. If you are taking that situation to a line manager, who would have reported to the facility manager, of course, someone would have run down to that location, addressed the lady, what happened, do you have any, ask questions like, do you have any injuries, how can we help you? Then we'll make full-on calls, and but unfortunately that never happened. So communication is key. Secondly, I would also like to emphasize, consistency and attentiveness. Of course, after training, after orientation, knowing what the tasks are, you must be consistent at doing them. You know that the mall, let's say for instance, the mall opens at 9 o'clock. You should know that before we open our doors, all cleaning must be done. No cleaning is allowed after 9 p.m. when the mall starts trading. So those are also critical factors. Good time management skills, that is important. Then honesty, because in the workplace, cleaners, interact with staff. We have valuables lying around. We don't want people pilfering. So that is critical. Even let's say, for instance, we have cases where people go into the toilets, they forget their phones. We need people that will, get those phones to their line managers. Place a call through, will return same, while appreciating them for the good works. So we need honesty. Honesty is really, really critical. So communication skills, yes, at least barest minimum, I'd say SSC level. Good time management skills. Honesty is really critical, of course, and consistency and paying particular attention to details. Attention to details is critical. Yeah. So yeah. Thank you.
Definitely, attention to detail is one of the key factors that should be considered here. We have another question from the audience. The question is from Bernard. Perhaps I think, Tommy, you can take this question. Bernard says, "Good afternoon, all. I'm from Ghana, and one big issue we face here is the training. We constantly lose team members few months after training, and we have to go back to stage one to rebuild and regroom, and this issue constantly happens every month." So how can we resolve this issue, Tommy?
There's no easy resolution. I think that goes back to what I was saying in the last sentence. The thing is that the good thing is that Bernard's training. That's the good thing. But unfortunately, what he's doing is training for his competitors, because basically what people do is they get the training and they go somewhere else and sell themselves because they say they've now got this skill. And hence, that's what I said. If there was a level playing field where there was a basic standard of training required for the operatives before they started, you wouldn't get such a movement, because everybody and every company will be obliged to conduct that training. The problem being is if one company's training and the other's not, well, the operative will pick up the training somewhere else and they think, okay, I can go to the next one now for a few dollars because I've now been trained. And that's what happens, because there's no consistency within our industry. So there is no easy solution for Bernard in terms of what he's saying or what he's asking. There's no easy solution. All I can say to him is that he needs to continue to do the right thing and not get disheartened by the fact that people do leave. Because if he stops training and then he finds himself in the same boat as everybody else, and you lose that competitive edge in terms of, your USP, if training is one of them, then that's fine. But if you lose that edge, then sometimes you lose a bit of a face of your company in terms of the staff that do stay that have been trained. They're of value to you. But if someone's going to move, they're going to move anyway. But you'll find generally that they'll move because they think they can work for somebody else and get more money because now they're trained. If they're certificated, that's even worse, because they'll get their certificate, they'll hold certificate up in front of the new employer. The new employer said, "Thank you very much, take them on." And that's the way it's been. It's been like that for generations. So there is no easy pill to take to say this will be solved. I think it's an industry-wide problem, regardless of where you are, and it needs to be addressed in terms of the whole training aspect. Needs to be addressed by companies as well as some government intervention in terms of setting a basic level.
Thank you, Toby. Clive, would you like to add to this? The question by Bernard.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Tommy. There's no easy solution, Bernard. There's no easy solution to this. It happens everywhere, every country. However, I emphasize what Tommy also said, is that don't get disheartened. Training, whether you're investing and your company benefits or not, see it as a contribution to the development within your own country. However, I might just add a solution. What you can do is withhold the certificate for 3 or 6 months to get a return on your investment. You can hold the certificate back, or you can make an agreement with the operative and tell him, look, if you leave within 6 months, you would have to pay me back for the training. If not, it's fine, it's free. So those are the 2 little solutions I can suggest to you. Hold the certificate, or you tell him, if you leave within 6 months, you've got to pay for the training I invested in you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Clive. Coming to our next question. Inara, perhaps you can take
I'm sorry, Samia?
Yes, we can.
Samia?
Yes, we can hear you, Steve.
If you don't mind, can I contribute to that?
Sure, no problem. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think the issue of remuneration is a high reason why the turnover rates are high. The movement really is a function of the pay, what they earn. If the remuneration is improved considerably, I think there will be a decline, in the level of movements. That's what I think. Thank you.
Sorry, Samir. I know we're not on a debating show, but I'd have to debate that with Steve in terms of what you said. In terms of, it's not always about money. I think that we as an industry, we tend to focus sometimes that we're not paying our cleaning operatives enough. Now, if you look at the situation that we have here in the UK, we have a national minimum wage where cleaning operatives cannot be paid lower than that wage. So we've got a starting point. It still doesn't stop people from moving. Sometimes the reason why they move is because sometimes they move because they're not being trained, they don't know what they're doing. Sometimes they move because they don't like their line manager or they don't get on with their colleagues or what the case may be. And I would always err on the side of caution if we start to look at throwing money at a situation that is not going to be resolved about paying them more money. Because if somebody has not been trained, technically in my eyes, they're a poor cleaner compared to somebody that's been trained. And how do you do it? You can't have a wage differential within a company because if one person's been trained, one person's not. It's not going to work. Yeah. So you can't have that wage differential. So the problem that you've had and the problem that I've witnessed in all the places that I've trained is that you'll see some people saying, well, why do I need to be trained? Because I'm still getting the same pay as the guy that's been trained. And yeah, so you've got that conflict even within an organization, let alone within the industry, within your own territory. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense a lot, Tommy. But unfortunately for us, in fact, you already answered my question, by this submission. The minimum wage in your client, all right, compared to the minimum wage here, I'm sorry to say it's ridiculous, honestly. And I'm sure Mr. Nwando agrees with this. It is ridiculous, So until we improve the standards locally, here we'll keep having.
Oh yeah.
Yours in your client, the standard is better. Ours is honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Steve. I agree with you. I just think that I was just giving you an example because I know that pay differentials are all relative, regarding in the territory that you're working in. So I'm not saying that by paying the minimum wage in the UK is better because of Nigeria. All I'm saying is that money is not always a key factor. Staff will work for what you give them. They'll work for what they think is worth. However, what we need to consider in terms of our field and when we train staff and we take staff on is if you've got one member of staff that's qualified to do a particular task and the same member and another member of staff that has failed to reach that qualification for that staff, would you get rid of them? The answer is probably no, because you need the body. So then the person that's been trained now thinks, well, why am I being trained and I'm getting the same pay as the person that's not been trained? Yeah. So that's the point I'm making. I'm not drawing wage comparisons between any territory. I'm just saying that sometimes if you've got a minimum wage to start, that will give you a starting point in terms of trying to settle down staff so they're not moving from one to the other.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, thanks.
I'm glad that we all agree to this.
Yeah.
So coming to the next question, what measures can be taken to improve the skill set of the cleaning staff? This question is open to all. Any one of you can take it.
Sorry, just repeat that. Where's that question? Others?
What are the measures that can be taken to improve the skill set of the cleaning staff?
Oh, because there's quite a few questions on the website here.
No, this question is not from the audience. We'll take some more audience questions after some time.
Okay, good.
I think that if I can interject, I think that for those of you that know me, I used to conduct BICS training for quite a long time, and I have seen staff who have benefited from it. I've seen staff who've been exposed by it because of their lack of skills, their lack of understanding, their lack of application in terms of the training. And we use that quite often. We'd use that quite often as a standard that we set for people to achieve, and there's a minimum standard in terms of what we see. So I think that there's, you know, in terms of the training field, and I think that we need to also look at a company as a whole. I mean, for me, there's two main reasons why you train. One is for compliance, so that could be health and safety or HR, doesn't matter who it is. And the other one is to achieve the actual skill in training itself and to get a decent outcome that is safe for the person that's actually doing the skill and the end users. That's what we should be looking for. So although you know, we have standards that vary from country to country, I think that the outcomes are very much the same. We want a clean building, we want a clean room, we want a clean desktop, etc., etc. It's generally how we get there that matters. So the answer for me, considering that I've been a trainer for some years, is that if you've got someone that's engaging and can train, then that will help you. Not just somebody you pick off the street and think, oh, you just show them how to use that broom. It doesn't work that way. It has to be measured. There has to be an outcome, obviously, you know, using the SMART objectives. So, you know, you need to have an outcome. You need to have a standard that you're setting that person needs to achieve. But as I said, and the one thing that I would throw out to the audience is that even if you have standards, you have training, you have the cleaning, what do you do, especially at this time where staff are very hard to come by? What do you do if one person's qualified but the other person hasn't? Do you get rid of the person that hasn't qualified? That's my question.
No, you don't. You know, from my side, I fully subscribe to what Tommy has said. It's all about training and retraining. It's absolutely vital in the sector, and that should remain ongoing, you know. And then, you know, the next question that's on the, you know, will take us into what kind of training should be done, you know. But it's vital, absolutely vital, that training remains ongoing, you know, to improve the skill sets of the worker. Thank you.
Inara, would you like to add to this?
Again, as usual, I'm always the last, so I get to pick up everyone's words. It's continuous training, but unfortunately, you know, how do you teach? For me, I'm about your environment. How do you teach someone who's coming from a slum to be better?
Well, the thing is, I think that in terms of, I understand what you're saying, and there should be no boundaries, because if you use your analogy, you're basically saying that you have to come from a certain educated background to be able to. No,
absolutely not. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well,
I'm sorry for a second. That's not what I'm saying. My thing, it goes beyond training these people. It goes, you know, we have to engage the public sector.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is you have in England. I don't know what it is you have in South Africa, Clive. But I know that here in Nigeria, we have the Ministry of Environment at different levels, the local, state, and federal. Right? So if someone is walking through a slum to work, and then you're saying, look, make sure there's no water on the floor. Meanwhile, where he stays is waterlogged. How is he going to come to terms with what you're saying? Okay,
I understand now, and I apologize if I took it the wrong way. I do understand, but I think that
training, not just training these people, but training the people who are supposed to implement.
Yes.
Right. So it's like saying you know, when you're choosing a leader, you can tell that he's inculcating this from childhood for whatever it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've digressed for a bit, but I'm saying not just train the cleaners, we train ourselves, and we train the people who also monitor us.
Oh no, I agree, and that's what I said. I think that I've always said that the person that needs training the most is the client.
Yes.
Because the client for it, by and large, always believes that cleaning is something that, you know, that's done in their house could be done exactly the same in the, like, you know, 5,000 square feet shopping mall. It's not the same. So I do agree with you. And if we start from the top and educate the people at the top and show them what needs to be done and how it can be done, they will then understand what it's like at a lower level. But unfortunately, they don't understand. All they're concerned about is the bottom line, as the old saying goes. They want to pay mini prices, but they want Rolls Royce service.
Yes,
that can't happen. It can't happen. So I agree with what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying, and I think that until we address that, and that's always been my aim. My aim has always been to train from the top coming down rather than the bottom going up.
Okay.
Can I also respond to that, Samia? Look,
Yes, sure, please. Please go ahead.
Coming up in our second last question, where it refers to challenges in training. So, what we have in South Africa is, and I see there's a couple of questions directed at this also from Tundai and others, is that we actually legislated a law, an act in South Africa called the Skills Development Act. Now, what normally happens, or what happened here in South Africa initially, the training was rolled out, it was made compulsory, and everybody was taxed a certain percentage of their payroll. The companies was taxed. However, the companies was also at the same time incentivized to go into rural areas, into the so-called slum areas, because everything was happening in the urban city areas, you know. So the challenge was location, but companies were then incentivized to go, you know, and they would get rebates on the tax that they had paid in if they can prove that they took it to the rural areas, to the slum areas, you know. But it was a legislation was introduced, a skills development levy was introduced, and so on. So it's very, very professionally governed by government. This is why I said in the beginning there must be governmental buy-in, you know, and the sectors must engage with government departments to set up something similar. Thank you.
Nwando, you were saying something.
Yes,
you can
definitely. For Nigeria, I know the government have tried to help. There's what we call the Industrial Training Fund Act. This act is meant to provide, like Mr. Clive said, get the companies to send in staff, that indigenous staff for training. You're meant to contribute by paying, I think, 1% of your annual income to them, so that you ensure that your staff they get trained. But I think the awareness is not created, so a lot of organizations are still not tapping into that. And of course, like Enara said, the level of the low level that we have that coming to do this cleaning jobs, it's something that you have to do a lot of training. And like I said, for us, we've been in this business for over 20 years. I've seen some staff that have stayed. We have people that have stayed 10 years with us, 15 years, and they've grown. So what we do is to engage them, make them understand that this cleaning can be a career. There's a career path we can create for you in our organization. So they are not looking at it as something they will come do a cleaning for a particular organization and run away. So they are with us the whole long run. It's not just training one person. I wanted to contribute that. We do what we call train the trainer. So every week you find out that we are doing one training or the other. So you know about customer service, you talk about it. You know how to handle a machine, you talk about it. You know more about floor care, you talk about it. So, and within them, there are trainings going on. So the turnover, is it there? Yes, it is. but at the end of the day, we retain some percentage that you can also use to carry on to your next clients. And definitely promoting trainings is key. And these days we've tried to get them to get certifications. So what certifications do we have? That's why in the beginning I kept saying, where do they go to get the certifications? If they know where to go, no matter the slum they're coming from, I understand you that it can be horrible because water is on the floor and someone is saying it's clean. I've tried, so the level they come in with might not be the level you'll see them in a couple of years. Once you continue to train, retrain, and we also encourage them to do self-development. So they go out of their way to watch video clips, watch demos online, see how they can get themselves up and reskill themselves to be able to meet the demands. And definitely informed clients help a lot, because we find out there are some clients that pay as much as 60,000 naira. It's far double the minimum wage, and they're ready to pay it for their cleaning workforce, probably because they are informed and they know what it takes to have your assets preserved, so you don't have people coming and mess up your system. So I think a lot depends on how we engage with them, and especially with the demand of the clients that are demanding for these services. A lot of engagement needs to happen. We need to push more to bring the profession to the cleaning industry to a higher level where we are valued and the work we do is seen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nwando. We have a couple of questions from the audience. But in the meantime, we are joined by Mr. Obed Owukisi, the Executive Director of Spacklean Company Limited. Before we take the audience questions, we'll hear from Mr. Obed, who will shine light on the role of training, the unskilled and CIMS certification, and he'll specifically take the case of Spacklean. So welcome, Obed, and over to you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's very unfortunate. I got the timing wrong. I saw 3 o'clock Ghana time. I'm sorry about that.
No problem, no problem.
So, like mentioned, Spacklean is a very small company in Ghana. We are incorporated in 2007. We've been into the business since that time, doing basically commercial cleaning services and facility maintenance. A very small company. We have only about 600 employees. The clients that we have is about 40 across all industries. We have some in education, aviation, manufacturing, and financial services. Now, since the very inception of our company, that's Spacklean, we've always been focusing on training. Our first 2 executive directors had our training from CMI in USA. Those were the days. And since that time, what we did was to take the curriculum we have from CMI and did our own in-house manuals. We call it CMC, Custodial Management Courses. We had the basic level and the advanced level. So prior to going to SIMS certification, that is all that we were doing. We have our normal induction training. Then we do the CMC. That is our own in-house training, basic and advanced. And then we have, of course, some management programs. So in 2016, that was when we joined CCAG, that is the Contract Cleaners Association of Ghana. And then we became members of ISA. Of course, we knew about ISA, but it was quite remote from us. So in 2019, we had the privilege of attending one of the ISA conferences in Johannesburg, where I had the privilege of meeting Tommy Taylor and others. It was such a wonderful program that we had there. It was then that this idea of SIMS certification came to the fore. It's something we wanted to do, but meeting ISA personnel in person gave us the opportunity to talk to them over, and then right away we started. From the very onset, 2 things came to the fore. documentation and training. Documentation and training. So the advice we had was to first get training to become CCE, SIN Certified Expert. Initially, we objected to it because we felt we can do it on our own. By going through the CCE training, gave us the insight into the SIN certification process. So what we did was we had 5 of our staff to go through the SIN certification training. And the interesting thing is, of the 5, we have 4 of them who were management staff. So they were skillful already. And then we picked one unskilled person, somebody with a lower level of training to add to the team. So we were the focus group. So when we finished the SIN certification training, and it actually helped us to understand what SINs is about. It was not just about cleaning, but about the management of the cleaning procedures. So we assigned each of them to one of the SINs pillars, the 5 of them. We didn't do the GB for SINs. We did only the first 5. So we have somebody assigned to the quality system, another to the service delivery, human resources, HSC, and then one other to the management commitment. That is what we did. And then we added supervisors and other people we call executives. They are basically all supervisors to each one of these. So instead of getting a consultant to do the documentation for us, we have each of these SIN certified experts plus our supervisors to join. Of course, we had coaching from other consultants to do the documentation ourselves. And that was very good training for our staff, because then the SINs did not become just a certification, but they knew what was happening. They were part of the process. And that is my advice to anybody who wants to do SINs. Yes, you can use a consultant, but use the consultant only as a guide. Get your team involved. Never ever think that these people are low-skilled people, they don't know anything, they do better. I'm telling you, they are much more focused, because it's an opportunity you are giving to them. And once you give them that opportunity, they love to reach out to it, irrespective of their level of education. I must say, the low graded staff that we added, she's just a high school graduate. Just a high school graduate. And she was more focused than some of us, because she was just doing just that. So that's how we did our documentation. Then following that, we then have to do this training. Because now we have all our documents, we have to train the staff, we have to embed the process. And the challenges that we have is as usual. All the challenges we have, most of the team have low formal education. Some of them have no interest at all in training. They are just there to work and get their daily bread and go. They have no interest in training. Then we have short employment tenure. Before you finish training them, they are gone. 3 months, 4 months, they are gone. And then the other challenge we have, everybody is scattered all over. We don't have the team at one place. So it makes training very expensive. So how did we go over some of these challenges? One inspiration that we have is from this quote I have here from John Ruskin. He says, when love combines with skill, you have a masterpiece. So what we always try to do is to get the team to love what we are teaching them. If they love for the work that we are teaching them, then they come out themselves for the training. So these are some of the things that we did for them to love the training process. Because we have our documentation, now we have to embed it in the system. How do we get them to love? A couple of things I noted here. One, we have a clear career path for every janitor. They know where they can get to. So of course, most of these low-skilled people are people who never had the opportunity. It's not like they are dumb. Some of them simply did not have the opportunity. So once you give them a clear career path, they will follow it and they will go for it. So that is one thing we have. In our organization, we have the first level to be a janitor, and the highest level, we call it emeritus. So you know where you can grow to. Now, the second thing we have in place is reward and award system. We are always giving little bits of reward and award here and there. We are always doing that. Have something that will just excite them, so they will go for the training. So when we do training, we do examinations and things like that. We award people for excelling in the examination process. Number 3, expose them to the industry. Most of us started with very little knowledge about the fact that there's a whole big industry behind the scenes. And most people who come to us for training do not know this industry. So we need to try to expose them to the bigger picture. In fact, our company took a big turn when we joined CCAG, that's the local association in Ghana, which gave us membership with ISA. So we are always talking to them about ISA TV, have you logged on, have you checked this? And that helps them to see that they can make a career within the industry. It's not all lost on them. And that actually generates a lot of positive energy among our staff. And then foster a high sense of community. We create, in Sparkling, we say we are a family. And we mean it, a family. We support one another. Once there's that social support system in there, it reduces turnover for us. Because they know that the big family is there to support them. Most of these unskilled people we are talking about here have nobody to support them. And one thing we do to foster this sense of community, we have a social corporate responsibility program in the company. We call it Sparkling Healthcare. Every 1st May, the Workers' Day, we take a hospital in Ghana, we go clean it up, train the staff, and it generates a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy among the staff. And that helps them. Doing that program, you always do training. And then the last thing I would say is management by example, MBE. You know, we talk about MBU, management by example. If the executives are not interested or have no love for cleaning, there's no way you can get these unskilled guys to love the cleaning. So I clean. There are occasions I go take the burnisher, take the mop, we all clean. And they love it. So once you have the opportunity and any interaction that you have with them, just make sure you teach them something new, something about the industry. So slowly but surely, we find ourselves getting them to understand this whole SIMS thing. They get to know that there's something SIMS, there's something ISA, because ISA itself, for example, many people get it wrong when you say ISA. Something very interesting, when we got the ISA SIM certification and we were doing the news item, a media guy who was writing an article said ISA means International Social Security Association. Where he got that from, I have no idea. I have no idea. But so you need to educate your people in-house. So if a janitor is talking about ISA, he knows even the history behind it and how it has gone global. He knows what SIMS stands for, the benefit of it. So apart from our scheduled training program that we have, now we have all these kind of unscheduled training sessions. Briefing and debriefing sessions are always training programs. We have what we call briefing cards, and we have little tips that we share with them. We use a lot of social media platforms, and then we acknowledge people here and there. Every single employee engagement for us is training. So the idea is this: you build the SIMS value as your company's culture. So people can come and go, but it's a culture. Once they pick up the culture, if even they stay with you for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, you see that they are SIMS experts. They carry the values of SIMS along. And that's what we've been trying to do. It's not easy, But one thing I want to share with everybody that it is possible. It is possible to get the unskilled guys to do things professionally. And that's what we've been trying to do over the 2-year period. Since Tommy, we met in Johannesburg, that's what we've been working on. And so far it's going well. There's a lot of positive energy. Somebody may say, so what is the benefit of all these things? I will just share about 3 or 4 things that we've benefited so far. One, self-assurance. Since procedure is just like a self-audit. We are auditing your company. So you just get the opportunity to take this, I'm doing well. And at the end of the day, you get to know that, oh, I'm on the right track. Sometimes some of us are just working, we are not sure whether we are doing it professionally or not. You go through the SIM certification process, you have that self-assurance that you are indeed a professional. Number 2, you get client assurance. Since we got it, we've been doing what we call happy hour, staff and client engagement. So we do a little bit happy hour. We invite the client to talk to them about the process, the value for them. And there's a lot of positive engagement that we are getting. So the clients have come to appreciate that cleaning is not just cleaning, it's a profession. Number 3, we've got our training programs focused. Yes, we used to do a lot of training, but going through the process, now we have it much more structured. We have our induction onboarding process, we have the technical training programs. Then one thing we used not to have is the customer services training. We were doing it, but we were not really focused on customer services training. But since the certification process, we have that one coming to the fore. And of course, we had a lot of health and safety gaps. I have to admit to that. But with SIMS, we've got all of them close. So I'm sure my time is there. But the point is this. Let's not have the thinking that most of the people we are working with are unskilled. They can't do it. We need to go bring some consultant to come and write big things for you. No. Use your in-house personnel, of course, with good coaching, with good direction, and let them own the process. Once they own it, make it your company culture. And once it's your culture, if the same standards are your culture, people come and go. You always have this basic core with you. People join the train, they work, you keep going, and you can make it. And seriously, I want to encourage as many of us to get to SIM certification. And the reason is this. I'm not here promoting ISA. The reason is we get recognition as a group. Because most of us, I don't know about other countries, but in Ghana, most of our clients don't see us as professionals. And that's why we are underpaid. But if they come to appreciate that this is a profession, this is something that has certification and things like that, and we are all together, they'll begin to listen to us. And of course, we give them value for their money. We get good returns. We can then take good care of our staff, and we all succeed. So that's a little bit I have to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Obed. We have some pending questions from the audience, but since we are short on time, I don't think we'll be able to take them as of now. So thank you, Obed. Thank you, Nwando, Tommy, Clive, Steve, and Inara. Thank you to all our listeners. We appreciate you being here and hope this brief session has helped you gain perspective on the training of the cleaning workforce in Nigeria. For those who missed the event, for those who missed the details about the upcoming event, Media Fusion and ISA Polar are also organizing a trade show for the professional cleaning and hygiene industry in West Africa. The show will be held in Landmark Center, Lagos between 16th to 18th February 2022. Do participate in this exclusive trade show to meet new suppliers, make new partnerships, and a lot more. Thank you once again for joining us today, and we'll see you next month with another exciting webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Samia. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Samia. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, everybody.
Good luck with the operation, Clive.